My little Margie, she said. She was a Berkway too. Now she's a cadaver. I said to Mr. Berkway, Mrs. Cadaver is your sister? We're twins, Mr. Berkway said. They're just alike, Mrs. Partridge said. When they had a when they had driven away, I knocked at Phoebe's door. I knocked and knocked. There was no answer. At home, I dialed Phoebe's number over and over. No answer. The next day at school, I was relieved to see Phoebe. Where were you? I said. I phoned and phoned. I have something to tell you. She turned away. I don't want to talk about it, she said. But Phoebe, I do not wish to discuss it, she said. I could not figure out what on earth was the matter with her. I was a, it was a terrible day. We had tests in maths and science. In French, our teacher lectured us for the entire class period about how sloppy our work was. At lunch, Phoebe ignored me. Then came English. Mr. Berkway skipped into the room. People were gnawing on their fingers and tapping their feet and wriggling around, and generally getting ulcers, wondering if Mr. Berkway was going to read from the journals. I just kept staring at him. He and Margaret Cadaver were twins? Was that possible? The most disappointing part of that piece of knowledge was that he was not going to fall in love with Mrs. Cadaver and marry her and take her away. Mr. Berkway opened up a cupboard, put out the journals, slipped the yellow paper over the cover of one, and read. This is what I like about Jane. There was no Jane, of course. He was substituting the name. She is smart, but doesn't act like she knows everything. She is cute. She smells good. She is cute. She makes me laugh. She is cute. She is friendly. And did I mention that she's cute? While Mr. Berkway was reading, I got a prickly feeling up and down my arms. I was wondering if Ben had written this about me, but then I realized that Ben didn't even know me when he wrote his journal. A little buzz was going around the room as people shifted in their seats. Christy was smiling, Megan was smiling, Beth Ann was smiling, Mary Lou was smiling. Everyone in the room was smiling. Each girl thought that this had been written about her. I looked carefully at each of the boys. Alex was gazing nonchalantly at Mr. Berkway. Shuguru was asleep in the back row. Others were doodling, and then I saw Ben. He was sitting with his hands over his ears, staring down at his desk. The prickly feeling traveled all the way up to my neck and then went skipping down my spine. He did write that, but he did not write it about me. Mr. Berkway exclaimed, Ah, love, ah, life. Sighing, he pulled out another journal and read, Jane doesn't know the first thing about boys. She once asked me what kisses taste like. So you could tell she hadn't ever kissed anyone. I told her that they taste like chicken, and she believed me. She's so dumb sometimes. Mary Lou Finney almost jumped straight out of her chair. You cabbage head, she said to Beth Ann. You beef brain. Beth Ann was winding a strand of hair around and around and around her finger. Mary Lou stood up. I did not believe you, and I do too know what they taste like, and it isn't chicken. Mr. Berkway looked astonished at this outburst. Ben drew a cartoon. It showed two stick figures kissing. In the air over their heads was a cartoon bubble with a chicken inside. The chicken was saying, Bawk, bawk, bawk. Mr. Berkway turned a few pages in the same journal and read, I hate doing this. I hate to write. I hate to read. I hate journals. I especially hate English teachers, or English where teachers only talk about idiot symbols. I hate that idiot poem about the snowy woods. I hate it when people say the woods in that poem symbolize death or beauty or sex or any old thing you want. I hate that. Maybe the woods are just woods. Beth Ann stood up and stared defiantly around the room. Mr. Berkway, she said, I hate this. I do hate school. I do hate books. I do hate English. I do hate symbols. And I most especially hate these idiot journals.